Hello everyone. Hello Sonia. Today's prompt is 18. Are some things unknowable? And I would like to ask you to start our discussion.
Yes, hello, Dima. Are some things unknowable? I think even though it's like only 4 words, this question is really big and it's really hard to answer. So I think I will start just with some mental connections that my neural connections created the moment I heard you asking me this question. So I got reminded of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry and this little prince with the lamp in the box. And somehow I feel like it paints really well this question. Are some things unknowable? Do you know that there is a lamp in that box? The little prince knew, but the pilot did not believe in that, so he did not, because he did not know. So for him to make this knowledge knowable, to for him to believe into the fact that there is a lamp in the box, he needed to see it with his own eyes and know it, right? So for him, the fact that is there something in that box was unknowable. But the controversial thing and the interesting thing I find here is that the little prince, just on his belief, breaks this idea and says, I know that the lamp is inside that box. So for him, the thing is knowable, but for the pilot, it is unknowable. And that is where all the questions start. So, is there any questions that you would like to ask? Did anything come to your mind now?
Honestly, it reminds me of the Schrodinger's experiment with the cat. Maybe you know about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard of it.
we have a cat in the box, and because of some manipulation with that cat and radiation, it can be dead or alive at the same moment, and it depends on the mm, it doesn't have a position. It's both dead and alive, and it takes a position when we open the box. So we cannot know the answer before we see that. Do you think that our knowledge is connected to our perception of the world?
Yes, that's exactly the thing that I started to think about when you just told me about the Schrodinger experiment. So, are some things unknowable? This question is solely aimed at the people who are thinking about this question. I don't think, just like in Schrodinger example or in the example of the little prince with the lamp, it does not matter that much if the truth is there, if there is something to know, but just the fact, can we know it? Like, it is only aimed at the people. It also reminds me of stars. I talked to you about this topic, and are some things unknowable. So stars, the light takes some time to get to us, and we cannot know if the star is already dead or and we still see its light, think that it is there, but we cannot know. So the thing that is so far away, so much light years away from us, we do not know if the star is there, even though we see it's shining, right? Also, the same thing comes in reverse situation. So perhaps the star is already there, but the light have yet to come to us. So we don't see the light and we don't think about the star being there. Does that count as something being unknowable because it is too far away from us? If it is, if it does count in, then that only I think that only adds up to what you said, that knowledge and things that are unknowable or knowable are solely dependent on our perception of the world. If we see it shining or if we don't, and that's the only way we can say that it is knowable or not. And in the end, we will say that it is not.
Mm. Actually, I would like to add to our discussion the absolute truth, and some philosophers argue that certain truths may be beyond human grasp. Actually, I think that some things are unknowable because um, how can we understand that we know something that's not our opinion and that's not a belief? How can we understand that it's a genuine knowledge? And I have no idea, to be honest. Do you have any ideas about that?
Yes, perhaps if we go back to our video about knowledge, we can say that there are some flaws in the definition of knowledge that are beyond the human grasp, as you said. That true knowledge, that knowledge being true, can be argued depending on what is true and depending on how the knowledge can be true. So having true knowledge is also, I think it's like there are some flaws in the definition, but yeah, I agree to you. I probably think that there are some things that can be counted as being unknowable. So, example, things in the past or things in the present. Something before the Big Bang. We can only think of something that could have been there, but we cannot be sure of that. Or if we go even farther into the past, so I will not be saying too much lies here. Something in so far into the past that we cannot know about it, like anything. The same thing that is so far into the future, perhaps those things are unknowable, but also I believe that in our world there are like some metaphysical or supernatural entities that may feel the things that we consider to be unknowable, feel, I don't know, the auras, the future, the past. So perhaps even the future and past that is too far away can be argued to be not fully unknowable, just like the knowledge can be argued to be not fully truth.
That's really interesting, and I think that knowledge itself is unknowable because we cannot form the definition of it properly. As we discussed in our first podcast about how can we distinguish between knowledge, belief, and opinion, I said about the guitar's problem because the definition of knowledge, which we tend to use in epistemology, is it sounds like justified through belief. We have problems with this definition because there are some moments uh, which break this definition and this rule. So I assume that knowledge itself is unknowledgeable for us. And that's the interesting problem because how can we understand that knowledge itself is unknowable for us if we cannot form a definition of knowledge? I guess our senses impact that. We feel that something we know, and it's really connected to our senses and belief and opinion. So I think that's why we had a prompt connected all of that. And you said about future and past. I think it's really connected too because we cannot predict the future, and mm, there are problems with past too because we can have some mistakes in the past events, and we can know that something wrong and we cannot know that something wrong is wrong in the past.
I
Uh,
like how you connected or put a barrier between senses and the thing that we are talking about. And I feel like there is some connection and some barriers here. Like the little prince. I think the little prince, he sensed, he felt, not knew, like he felt so much that it became knowledge to him that the lamp is there, but the pilot did not agree to his senses, to the senses of the little prince, or to the feelings of the little prince. He agreed only on the practical knowledge that he can see. So no heart was involved there. He said, I don't see the lamp, so it is not there. So I guess the senses impact this also. There's also another thing that can be counted as being unknowable. I think it's the subjective experience of others. Most of the time, when someone tells you something like bad or good, you want to say that you can relate to them, right? But in reality, that is the thing that is unknowable to us. We can never relate to someone's um, exact nature of someone else's subjective experience. We can like emphasize or communicate with them, but we can never feel the same thing. So their thoughts, past experiences, or conscience might be like inherently unknowable to us, but we will sense, we will feel like we can understand them. But our mind will tell us, you cannot. You will never be able to fully understand. Perhaps you could emphasize, feel like you understand, but I feel like that is another thing that can be unknowable.
That's really interesting. And honestly, I think we mostly agree that I forget what I was going to say. We are
That's
mostly
fine,
agree
take your
that
time.
our knowledge depends on our perception of the world. And I think that there are some topics that uh, we cannot, in which we cannot consider knowledge, but a belief, such as religious question, the existence of the gods, or something like that. Some people may say that they know there is a God, but I think they believe mostly about their beliefs and how they perceive the information. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think perhaps it has the place to be that belief can become so strong that it becomes knowledge to something, and the thing that is in our minds, in our logical minds, considered to be unknowable can become knowable to those who believe really hard, just like the little prince believed really hard into the lamp in the box, and the supernatural senses of the word perhaps even somehow said, okay, if you believe so much, then yes, there is. And the lamp was in the box. So perhaps that's how it is. I think that is the time to stop. Thank you so much. I think this is one of the few topics that we agree on. So thank you for today.
Thank
And
you.
let's stop it.
Goodbye.
Thank you.